Welcome back to another weekly update. It has been a short week for me. I had my sister here visiting from Germany, and that is relevant to the stock that I bought this week actually, so I'll talk a little bit about that. But first we'll go through the videos for this week. We'll just quickly my extra thoughts on them. I've just done 3 this week because of the short week. I did one about Mohnish. Pabrai has been posting a few videos, recent Q&As. My son is now practicing piano in the background. If you can hear, microphone's probably picking that up from time to time. Why great stock ideas are rare. So he talked about Warren Buffett. Went through Warren Buffett's ideas that he's only really had 12 great ideas, and one of them was hiring Ajit Jain for their insurance company. But really, out of the hundreds of investment decisions that they've made over the decades, only 12 of them shot the lights out, as Terry Smith from Fun Smith is fond of saying. I like that. Shoot the lights out. So someone that, like, one of the best investors in the world, one of the best investors of all time, has only had 12 really super investments. So it did get me thinking about this, about how, say, the stocks that I've got now, right? And I've added another one. This week, it's very rare for me to add one stock each week, to like 2 weeks in a row, especially when the market seems expensive. The US market seems expensive, but this one isn't. And the US, individual stocks on their merit. You know, he was talking about narrowing down the field, and the next video was about that too, about shameless cloner, being a shameless cloner. And this is often misunderstood. People think you just copy things. And I mean, arguably people say that people follow Charlie Munger into Barber without diving deeply. Also, the fact is, if you'd copied all of Charlie Munger's investments, you still would have done very well over time. But anyway, being a shameless cloner like me, meaning, as he said, there are 50,000 stocks all around the world. You know, I've got these ones in Nordic countries, in Europe, in the US. I haven't got any from Australia and New Zealand at this point, which is kind of odd, but it's just the way it's gone. I seem to be heavily in Sweden, and yes, definitely the US, Canada, Europe via Canada with Topicus. But if we look worldwide, there's tens of thousands, more than 50,000 stocks. So how do you narrow it down? So he just talks about looking what the best investors are doing, and I do think it's a good way to go. As I said in that video, I've looked at my portfolio and realized there's really only one that didn't come from somewhere else, and maybe even that did. Spotify. When I was interested in Spotify, that was from Peter Lynch. Really, his philosophy of, and Mohnish Pabrai said this too in that video. I didn't put it in the video, but he said to the students, start with things that you know. So, you know, I'm looking at this computer right now, my phone. One of the main apps that I use was Spotify, and we use Netflix. Netflix has done well over time. You know, things like that. If it's in your circle of competence, he said to look at all of the things that you use. Just look at the brands, because if a company can get $1 out of you, that's a huge thing. It's really hard. Capitalism's competitive. Incredibly competitive. So just to be a dominant brand is a huge thing. So that's a good start. Anyway, those were those 2 videos. I wanted to catch up on what Mohnish Pabrai had been saying recently. I just picked out a couple of things from his videos. And then the Alibaba signed now their logistics unit, cancelling the IPO and buying the remaining shares. I'm not surprised, and I think they probably should have done that in the first place. Terrible conditions to be doing IPOs in Hong Kong or anywhere really at the moment. Of course, Reddit was the IPO that happened this week, and that shot to the moon. I mean, with our meme stocks back, I don't think it's a bad company, but it's basically advertising right now, I think, or they're selling some of their data to the AI, to OpenAI. I think there's a license deal there. I haven't really looked into Reddit. It's just from what I've, you know, some analysis that I've seen. But, you know, with IPOs, it's kind of like what Buffett says. He very rarely, if he ever goes into IPOs, if you look at some of the best IPOs, even say for Meta, if you look at, say, 6 months in or even a year in, they're way down from the IPO price. Reddit's even more difficult because, I mean, Wall Street bets, as far as meme stocks goes, is on Reddit. So yeah, I wouldn't even look at that for at least 6 months, see how it settles down. But anyway, Alibaba's buying the remaining shares of their logistics unit, which is growing fast. As I said in that video, like it's 27% over the year on year for the last 9 months. I'm a Alibaba shareholder, as you know, and so I'm going to wait it out, see how it goes. Mohnish Pabrai sold out of Alibaba and went into Tencent, so maybe that was a better choice, but still think, you know, there's a way to go. It's just going along the bottom. I don't think I'm going to lose any more than I've lost on it. So we'll see what happens. And the other stocks that I've got are doing pretty well. So actually, it's the end of the quarter. I wanted to see the earnings of I'll show you that, and I listened to the earnings call because that sector is catching a bid. It's catching a bid. I'll update on that sector stocks, and then I'll go into this new stock position. I wasn't expecting to go into that. It's a long-term compounder, definitely a long-term compounder. It's a mid-cap actually, so it's not small cap. This week we saw this. You might have seen Canopy Growth, which is Canadian-based, but listed on the NASDAQ. With the German decision to legalize, which is actually coming into action in the 1st of April, so after Easter, but they've approved it. It's a partial legalization, and unexpectedly, I thought it was a bit unexpected, this stock here went up 68% in one day. So that's what can happen in this sector. That was crazy, but this is what's happened when Canada legalized. There was things like that happening. And then it went down, and then it went up. But over the 5 days, 83% for the week. And really, there was no reason for this. I can't really see a valid reason for this. The US stocks did go up too. They had a good week. But I think it's because they're listed on the big boards on the NASDAQ. If these US stocks were listed on the big boards, CGC really did display the potential for a bubble. You know, look, that had 68% one day. Crazy things like that could happen. I think I've been in there for more than 3 years researching, but people who are new to it will just go in and say, what am I going to buy? What am I going to buy? And just blast away. So I'll talk about this company from now on. So if you're not interested in it, you probably won't be interested in the rest of this. But if you are, I'll go through it some more. Now, if you've been a subscriber for a while here, or if you're new and you're enjoying it, you might like to try the Art of Value Patreon. Over there, I provide exclusive content. I talk about the research that I'm doing at the moment, exclusive content that I don't share anywhere else. I'll put a link in the description for that. Now, if you're watching this video on YouTube, I'm going to put a link here to the video that YouTube thinks that you in particular should watch next. So go and see that now if you want to. And thanks to everybody for watching or listening, and I'll see you in the next one.